From American Public Media.
And we are live from here in our homes across America. Here's your host, Chris Thile.
Ahoy! Let's hear it for our musical director, Mike Elizondo. Our live from heroes in the band tonight include Brittany Haas on fiddle, Chris Eldridge on guitar, Ted Poor on drums, and Brett Williams on keys. Oh, did we ever have a wonderful show for you tonight. Our guests are Gaby Moreno, Watkins Family Hour, Oliver Jeffers, Josh Gondelman, Jonathan Biss, Claire Coffey, Louis Phipps, Emma Walton Hamilton, and Julie Andrews? Yes, that Julie Andrews. Nickel Creek and Sylvan Esso. Live from here is supported by Progressive Insurance, committed to offering a streamlined shopping experience where home and auto can be bundled together. Now that's Progressive. Learn more at progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. And by the United States Postal Service, offering postage stamps for purchase at more than 40,000 supermarkets, drugstores, office suppliers, and wholesale clubs. And by A to Z Wineworks, a B Corporation dedicated to combining commerce with conscience and committed to offering remarkably food-friendly Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and Chardonnay. A to Z Wineworks, the essence of Oregon. This episode of Live From Here was recorded remotely from the safety of our homes. Live From Here is produced by American Public Media. And again, I say ahoy more appropriately this time, as the tune you just heard happens to be a seafaring number called Shipwrecked. I wrote Shipwrecked when I was 10 years old, and can't for the life of me recall why I gave it such a dramatic title. Shipwrecked would be a better title for an instrumental written by a 10-year-old in the middle of, say, a pandemic, marooned on a tiny island with naught but their parents and siblings for company. Whereas I think I was probably railing against being required to try my eggplant before gorging myself on bulk-purchased Otter Pops. I've been watching my little boy What's that, buddy? Oh, right, sorry. I've been watching my teenage hedgehog, Sonic, navigate the treacherous waters of indefinite quarantine and thinking about all the "when I was a boy, I had to walk 10 miles to school in blinding snowstorms, uphill both ways" kind of stories I heard when I was growing up. I have none of those kind of stories, unless you count, "when I was a boy, I wasn't allowed to watch any television that wasn't made possible by viewers like me." But Calvin's generation, they're going to have an absolute corker to tell their grandkids, and they're living through it in front of our very eyes right now. This brand new show that we're making in the very same homes our children are so valiantly turning into classrooms, playgrounds, and the Green Hill Zone from Sonic, all the best stuff comes back. Is dedicated to them. And relatedly, it turns out our little virtual open mic, hashtag live from home, is all ages, as evidenced by the following original submission from 8-year-old Louis Phipps. Don't worry, we're going to hear the whole thing in a second, but first, welcome to the opening so-called monologue. the composer, lyricist, and performer of Barry Bush's, along with his mom, Annie, from the great Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Louis Phipps. Thank you so much for joining us on Live from Here, Louis.
It's great to be on here. I'm so honored.
I'm so curious, how long have you been playing / singing / writing?
Well, I've been playing for about 5 years.
And you're 8?
Yeah.
Nice.
I didn't really know much when I was younger, but now I've practiced. And I started writing songs when I was 5 or 6.
Tell me about your process when you're writing. We're gonna get in depth on Barry Bush's because it's just what I do, man. And I'm so into both the recording and the piece itself. I'm curious if you, as a writer, are you starting with music or are you starting with words?
Well, I'm starting with music usually.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to think of a verse, and suddenly the word Barry Bush's just popped into my head, and I just think, well, why don't I try to use that?
Amen. Sorry, continue. I'm enjoying this very much.
Well, for every song that I write, I don't really worry about how the beats are going to turn out.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of just chase after what I feel.
Bravo. Following your intuition is just as important as following things that you've learned. I don't want to give it away, but there is an M. Night Shyamalan quality twist in this song at towards the end. I'll call it a coda. What was the genesis of that?
It was probably a few days after I wrote my song. Sometimes I just play around in my baritone with picking, and I came up with that, and well, I liked it. And my dad said, add it to your song, and I thought that was a great idea. So I went right to work and started adding new words. I didn't know where I could fit it, if in the middle or a different part, so I thought I might just fit it at the end.
I was already in hook, line, and sinker, a Barry Bush's fan. And then when you got to the coda, I was just like, what? Mind blown. And at first I'm like, I didn't expect it. I'm thoroughly surprised. And yet 100% on board. It had to be this way. Louis, I'm a huge fan, and I'm going to overdub myself onto your performance of Barry Bush's, so we can make it a de facto duet, and I'm really excited about it. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Yeah.
I wish you the best, and hope we get to make some music actually in person at some point.
His eyes just got really big.
I mean, it's like we're there waiting with the little raccoon. That's Barry Bush's, written and performed live from home by 8-year-old Louis Phipps, who was gracious enough to allow me to overdub myself onto that song. Thanks again, Louis. The kids are all right. I hope you are too, dear listener. Thanks so much for being here wherever here is for you. And here is a song I wrote with my fellow Punch Brothers about, among other things, my earliest memory called In Wonder, harvested from a concert we gave at the Pabst Theater in Milwaukee, Wisconsin back in 2016. Mother, Father, I'm standing and I'm not about to fall. When I can speak, I'll tell you not to worry or be sorry for anything, 'cause no one understands this world at all. My father swept me over his shoulders above the empty cars to see the fair. A slowly spinning wheel of smiling neighbors and flowers for my mother, who sang to me that night of love and death. 'Cause everybody sings of love and death. Sons and daughters, a high wire connecting the four corners of the earth. The wire disappeared and left them standing on nothing. Then they're standing and they're not about to fall. Standing and they're not about to fall. That's my band Punch Brothers playing a song we wrote called In Wonder. And now, citizens of the airwaves, please make welcome my longest standing friends and collaborators, Sarah and Sean Watkins, who recorded special live from home versions of 2 tunes off their new record, Brother, Sister. We'll even have a little conversation after the first of these. This is Fake Badge, Real Gun with an assist from Mike Viola on bass and Matt Chamberlain on drums. This is so fraught with absurdity, like the idea of interviewing 2 people that I have known since I was literally 6 years old.
Yeah.
And you were 6, Sarah, and Sean, you were 10?
Well, you guys were 5 and I was 9 when we met.
At that pizza place?
Yeah.
Which, for the benefit of our listeners, is actually called That Pizza Place.
Yep.
I'm curious, like listening to these songs, such an important part of making music with someone is being able to believe in the magic trick that is them. Whereas when it's just you can't really believe in your own magic trick.
No.
You know what you're doing.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. When it's you two who know each other so well and have made so much music with each other for so long, I sense that wonder. I sense belief in the magic trick in each other. And I'm wondering how you've maintained that. Does it ebb and flow? Do you believe it sometimes and not others? This feels like you're believing it to me, this record.
Oh, thank you. I think the answer to that is basically this time in our life, where Sarah and I are in the last few years, what we've done is pretty singular in that we've both been doing very different things separate from each other. I've been doing my own shows, kind of collaborating with other people, and Sarah's been, on the road with I'm With Her for the last 2 years solid.
So we took the time this year to write together as a duo, which, as you know, writing in any different combination is completely different. So we'd all written as Nickel Creek, but if you're writing as a duo or singularly, it's totally different. If you just change one variable.
You know, we had the writing process was different in that Sarah, you know, she had a baby, and so all the writing process was at her house between the hours of 12 and 2. And so that really, I mean, I'm sure you know, like when you have a very small amount of time, you focus more and you can kind of accomplish more than you might if you had a whole day free because you're just focusing for those 2 hours, you know? Because the last few years have been so different for us experientially, it gave us more to write about and bounce off of each other, you know?
It's like when you have a dinner party with the same people 3 times in 1 week versus every few weeks or a month or a year.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are new stories. There are new ideas. The food is different. Everything is special because you don't know the ins and outs of everything that's going on in each other's lives.
Well, while you're saying this, Sarah, I'm thinking about the potential explosion of collaborative excellence that could follow this time that we're in. How excited we're all going to be to get back together with the musicians that we love to make new music.
Totally.
This is going to add a lot of clay to the wheel, I think, for everyone who makes things.
Because this is certainly a very specific thing that we're all experiencing, but it also can be related to a much more broad lesson, you know, which is slowing down, appreciating what you have. I think there's a kind of an energy that you can have where you're taking adversity and trying to be creative with it and figure out, you know, how you can make it work for you in some way, you know. What once was a lifeline thrown from a boat to stop you from drowning, keep you afloat. Now is a tether tied to a mooring, keeping you ashore. All that you need, gotta leave it behind. It's all burning down, it's just a matter of time. Once this fire was a vision of grace, now it's just another reason. Now it's just another reason to get away. Now it's just another reason to get away.
There's a fire that's been burning since the day you arrived. Kept your world turning, and you kept it alive.
Hope to uphold a line in the dirt, even when it hurts. All that you need, gotta leave it behind. It's all burning down, it's just a matter of time. Once this fire was a vision of grace, now it's just another reason. Now it's just another reason to get away. Now it's just another reason to get away.
One hand holds what it is that you want, the other is open on what you forgot.
It's just another reason to get away.
One hand holds what it is that you want,
It's just another reason to get away.
the other is open on what you forgot.
And it's just another reason to get away. One and holds what it is that you want.
And it's just another reason to get away.
The other is open to what you forgot. And it's just another reason to get away. One and holds what it is that you want. And it's just another reason to get away. The other is open to what you
another reason to get away.
That was Watkins Family Hour with Just Another Reason. We'll hear more from Sean and Sarah a little later in the program. Oh yes, we have a special treat from visual artist and author, my buddy Oliver Jeffers. If you have kids, you know his work. His most recent is called The Fate of Fausto, and it's been a particular hit in our house. Take it away, my friend.
The Fate of Fausto. A painted fable by Oliver Jeffers. To Kurt and Joe and the rest. A dedication that will make sense at the end. There was once a man who believed he owned everything and set out to survey what was his. You are mine, said Fausto to the flower. Yes, said the flower, I am yours. Content, Fausto walked on. You are mine, he said to the sheep. Yes, said the sheep, I suppose I am. Feeling satisfied, Fausto walked on. Next, Fausto came upon a tree and declared, Tree, you are mine. To which the tree replied, Oh, all right, I can be yours. And the tree bowed before the man. This pleased Fausto, and he walked on, happy to be owning a sheep and a flower and his tree. Before long, Fausto had claimed a field and a forest and a lake. At first, the lake had pretended not to hear. But Fausto showed that lake who was boss. When he reached a mountain, Fausto said in a clear voice, Mountain, you are mine. No, said the mountain, I am my own. This angered Fausto, and he stamped his foot and made a fist. Still, the mountain would not move. But Fausto put up such a fight you would not believe, and showed the mountain who was boss. Eventually, the mountain bowed before Fausto and said, Yes, you are in charge. I am yours. Feeling very important, Fausto easily conquered a boat to set off to sea. For a mountain, a lake, a forest, a field, a tree, a sheep, and a flower were not enough for him. When he had got far enough from shore, Fausto said in a loud voice, Sea, you are mine. But the sea was silent. You belong to me, sea. I know you can hear me, said Fausto, louder still. Then after a while, the sea said quietly, You do not own me. You're wrong, I do, Fausto replied, unsure which way to look, for the voice appeared to come from everywhere. But you do not even love me, said the sea. You're wrong again, said the man. I love you very much. But Fausto was lying, and the sea knew it. How can you love me when you do not understand me? The sea asked Fausto. You're wrong a third time, said Fausto. I understand you deeply, then added, feeling impatient. Now admit you are mine, or I will show you who is boss. And how will you do that? Asked the sea. I will stamp my foot and make a fist. If you wish to stamp your foot, then come to show me how it is done, so I understand. And in order to show his anger and importance, Fausto climbed overboard to stamp his foot on the sea. But he did not understand. And he did not know how to swim. The sea was sad for him, but carried on being the sea. The mountain too went back to its business. And the lake and the forest, the field and the tree, the sheep and the flower carried on as before. For the fate of Fausto did not matter to them. And a poem by Kurt Vonnegut to which the dedication makes sense. It is called Joe Heller. True story, word of honor. Joseph Heller, an important and funny writer, now dead, and I were at a party given by a billionaire on Shelter Island. I said, Joe, how does it make you feel to know that our host only yesterday may have made more money than your novel, Catch-22, has earned in its entire history? And Joe said, I've got something he can never have. And I said, what on earth could that be, Joe? And Joe said, the knowledge that I've got enough. Not bad. Rest in peace.
That's Oliver Jeffers reading his painted fable, The Fate of Fausto. Which brings us to a song written by another friend of mine, Jessica Hoop, which came to my mind as I was thinking about this show. And look who's here, Gaby Moreno. Gaby Moreno singing Jessica Hoop's Intelligent Tactile 101.
And my road till I get my own. Lovely, lovely, lovely bones till I get my own. I won't tell my new friends that they're alone, they won't know. It's no smart thing to do when you're far from home. Can I borrow your skin, blushing to get lucky? And lucky, 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 lucky with a special friend. Well, I hear that on planet Earth that it's a sin, big sin. Well, all the more fun for me to get lucky then. Oh, I'm gonna be a baby girl, a round trip ticket to a blue planet, flipping you at Mars. Oh, I'm gonna swim in the water first, blowing up her belly though she didn't plan it. I took the invitation when she rocked the hammock, pulling all the wild cards, and now I'm swinging from the stars, an umbilical cord, from an umbilical cord, from an umbilical cord. Feels like I've been here before. On my tongue, I want your fingers on my tongue. I want some intelligent tactile when foreign playthings come. I'm gonna study them with my tongue. I want some intelligent tactile 101.
You're listening to Live From Here.
And your winking girl. Is I is or is I ain't one flossy girl. I'm gonna paint that planet red, 'cause I'm in the world, and leave a trail of kisses when my love's unfurled. Will you steady my ground, dizzy ground when I'm turned around? Dizzy, dizzy, dizzy ground when I'm lost, you're planet Earth to search the sound, deep sound. So keep my compass wound when I'm on the ground. Oh, I'm gonna be a baby girl, a round trip ticket to a blue planet, flipping you at Mars. Oh, I'm gonna swim in the water first, invitation when she rocked the hammock, pulling all the wild cards. And now I'm swinging from the stars, an umbilical cord, from an umbilical cord, from an umbilical cord. Feels like I've been here before. On my tongue, on my tongue. I want your fingers on my tongue. I want some intelligent, tactile and foreign. Great things come. I'm gonna study them with my tongue. I want some intelligent, tactile 101 on my tongue. I want your fingers on my tongue. I want some intelligent, tactile and foreign. Great things come. I'm gonna study them with my tongue. I want some intelligent, tactile 101.
Welcome back to Live from Here. That was Gaby Moreno singing Jessica Hoop's Intelligent Tactile 101. And how lucky are we to welcome pianist Jonathan Biss to the program. He recorded a trio of childhood-themed pieces for us, starting with Gollywog's Cakewalk from Claude Debussy's Children's Corner. You texted me that it's been 29 years since you last played Gollywog's Cakewalk or anything from Debussy's Children's Corner.
Yep.
Which would mean that you were 10?
Yeah.
I want to get into the 10-year-old mind of Jonathan Biss playing Debussy's Children's Corner. Like, what did that mean to you at that point?
I remember that I loved it. Even just like the physical sensation of playing those pieces was just wonderful, which I think is like the sign of a really good piece for children, that like children will enjoy hearing it and children will enjoy playing it.
When did you start, by the way?
Playing, I was 6.
And from an intensely musical family, I'm curious for you, how did you go about carving out your own identity? Your musicianship is so intensely personal.
I have to give my parents a lot of credit because, I mean, I guess it was probably lucky that, you know, because they're string players and I'm a pianist, it was clear that they were never going to be my teachers. I don't hardly have a memory of my parents ever practicing with me. They must have when I was that age, but like it was not a regular enough occurrence that it's like part of my, my memory of like being a kid playing music.
You feel like maybe they were pointedly giving you some space.
Oh, absolutely. They didn't want to be in the way of my love of music, and I'm really grateful for that.
So we're going from Debussy to the work of Kurtag.
Mm-hmm. He's been a huge influence on me. Almost everything is like a minute or less, and I always say with Kurtag like that there's more music per note than with almost anyone else. It's so packed with meaning, and I think like a lot of how I approach playing music is influenced by how he writes it.
Can you set this particular piece up for us?
They're teaching pieces for children. Like he sort of thought like kids didn't have enough music to learn about the tactile aspect and like the sort of the joy in making different kinds of sounds on the piano. So they're kind of like luxury pieces for little kids. And
amazing.
And like both playful and deep at the same time. And this one's a perfect example. It's called, and I love this so much, Phone Numbers of Our Loved Ones.
Some Kurtag from Jonathan Biss, who I'm speaking with. Talk a little bit about Schumann, who I know is one of your heroes.
I'm so grateful to have Schumann right now. It's like absolutely unbelievable. But he wrote these 13 pieces called Scenes from Childhood.
And what about this movement?
So it's the last of the 13 movements. It's called The Poet Speaks. And sort of after these 12 earlier pieces, which are all sort of literal scenes from childhood, like they specific memories of events and people and places. I think this one is really kind of looking back at all of it from the perspective of, I don't know if it's wisdom, but maturity, at least. I think one thing we're really all realizing right now is how like loneliness is just a shared human condition. Ironically, we all feel it. We've all experienced it. We all know what it means. And Schumann like put it into sound.
Well, here we go. A Scene from Childhood, written by Robert Schumann, played by Jonathan Biss. the piano of Jonathan Biss, ringing with the last movement of Schumann's Scenes from Childhood. Now, would you believe I got to talk to Julie Andrews and her daughter Emma Walton Hamilton? Well, I don't. But Julie and Emma have been writing a ton of books together, and in addition to their Netflix series, Julie's Green Room, they have a brand new podcast called Julie's Library, about to come out, presenting children's books in the most charming, engaging way imaginable. I mean, who doesn't want to be read to by Julie Andrews? We'll hear a sample of that after the interview, but for now, listen in while I try not to freak out. Hello, Julie and Emma. How are you? I'm Chris.
Hello, Chris. How lovely to talk to you. This is Julie.
Hi, Julie.
This is Emma. How are you?
Oh, I'm so good. And thank you again so much to both of you for doing this. I'm grinning ear to ear. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm bad at playing it cool, and I am not going to start now.
Oh, it is a pleasure, and it's such a pleasure to talk to you.
When I was studying Julie's Library and also Julie's Green Room, I was struck by, one, knowing that it is intended for children, but gleaning so much from it personally. Were you considering how much it might mean to adults as well as children?
We've always believed in not talking down to children in the work that we do, in the books that we've written together, and in the other creative projects. We think children are profoundly wise, and we love to invite them to stretch up. And so that was part of it, but we also know that our favorite family programming always offers Easter eggs of some kind for the adult listeners as well, and I think we wanted to try to incorporate that as much as we could.
Seeing as it seems directed to both parents and children, that it is being made by a parent with her child, does the parent-child dynamic play a role in the work as it's being made?
I'll answer that one. Yes, and it's also with my grandchild, Emma's daughter, as well. Occasionally, she'll be
3 generations
joining us on that particular podcast. First of all, it's wonderful, but we've done over 30 books together now, and actually, it's like talking to a beloved equal these days, because Emma's got her own family and her own kids. In terms of it being a gift to me, it's phenomenal, because who knew when she was, as they say, knee-high to a grasshopper, that she and I were going to work together one day. And here we are, this much time later, having a ball doing it together. And we have different strengths, and we finish each other's sentences and laugh a lot, have a lot of good English tea while we're writing.
I would just add to that the one of the many nice things about working together is that we have a kind of shorthand because of our shared history and because of our shared passions and our shared lives in the arts. You know, we really can speak a kind of shorthand with each other, and we have while we have different strengths, we have very similar taste, and so somehow along the way we arrived at this understanding, this sort of tacit understanding that if ever we disagreed about something, the best idea wins. And somehow we always seem to know exactly which one is the best idea, because whenever one of us says it, both of us goes, that's it, you know.
In all honesty, I highly recommend a tea break or a bathroom break, because when you come back, you say, I've got it. I know what we should do now.
Oh, exactly. Oh, it's so important to step away from a thing. And it's...
Isn't it?
Exactly.
It's just the last thing you think of.
I'm aided by the fact that sometimes I think in terms of music, Chris. And I usually decide, let's say at the beginning of a book, well, do I open with a fanfare or do I open with a pastoral piece? I mean, funnily enough, for me, it really, really helps.
I wanted to just ask on behalf of everyone who loves you and your work, Julie, are we going to be okay?
Oh, of course we are. As long as we are kind and responsible and do our bit. I mean, it sounds like World War II in a way, but it is a little like that. We do have a responsibility to play our part at this moment, and if we all do what we're supposed to do, whatever it is, and stay kind and compassionate, I think we'll definitely get through. Hope we get to meet one day, Chris.
That it would be a dream, and I promise to play it cooler than I have our first 20 minutes of knowing each other.
No, please don't.
My absolute favorite spot in the library is our reading nook. It's the perfect place to snuggle in for story time.
With cozy pillows all around.
A glowing lamp shines its light on the pages.
There's a squishy rug under our feet.
And we like to save space in a comfy armchair for any friendly monsters that may drop in for a visit.
You never know.
Now that we're all settled in, let's open today's book. Marilyn's Monster by Michelle Knudsen. Some of the kids in Marilyn's class had monsters. It was the latest thing. Marilyn didn't have a monster. Not yet. You couldn't just go out and get one. Your monster had to find you. That's just the way it worked. Some kids woke up to find their monsters had chosen them while they slept. Some kids got their monsters on the way home from school, or on the bus, or in the park. Timmy's monster chose him right in the middle of a history test. At first, Marilyn wasn't even worried about it. Eventually, her monster would find her too. There was still a bunch of kids who didn't have monsters yet. But then Franklin got his at the library, and Rebecca got hers while riding her bike. And Lenny got his while he was running away from some mean older kids who kept picking on him. Nobody picked on Lenny anymore after that.
I still can't believe that happened. Keep an eye out for Julie's Library premiering on your favorite podcast platform April 29th, which leads us to the Sylvan Esso portion of our program. I've been waiting for it. You've been waiting for it. They have an electrifying new live album/video called With. I can't recommend it enough. We're going to hear a tune from that in a moment, but first, something they recorded just for us. This is Rewind.
Bathing in the red, blue, green, I'm learning how to think, learning how to shake that thing, learning how the grown-ups dream. The friends you're making on the screen, they teach you how to be. You reinvent and feel that click, and then you're back in love again. Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. You're moving so fast, backward a deck. Do it again, light up the room. Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. You're moving so fast, backward a deck. Do it again, light up the room. Are you hitching a ride to the other side of what you try to be? Are you a rewind baby with so much to lose and no present? Are you a ready player in a one-shot scheme? Or are you splicing up a fantasy? Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. You moving so fast, backward a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. You moving so fast, backward a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. Yeah, moving so fast, backward a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch it, take it on deck to the rewind. Yeah, moving so fast, backward a take. Do it again, light up the room. take it on back to the rewind you. Moving so fast, back with a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch they take it on back to the rewind you. Moving so fast, back with a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch they take it on back to the rewind, yeah. Moving so fast, back with a take. Do it again, light up the room. Watch they take it on back to the rewind, yeah. Moving so fast, back with a take. Do it again, light up the room.
That was Rewind by Sylvan Esso. So I mentioned their new album is called With, and it's a live concert experience, video included. I chatted with the band about what it was like to make. We'll get into that conversation a little later, but for now, let's hear a song from that live concert. This is Sylvan Esso with Coffee.
It's a dance we know the moves. The bar did the woo. Though the words are true, the state is old news. Wrap me in your arms. I can't feel it burn. Rock me in your arms. I can't feel it burn. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Feel to notation and style. See the next one with me. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Get up. Send them the same with the pit feet change. I know my words will drag upon the skin. Just like a name I remember hearing. Wild winters, warm coffee, mom's Guyana. Blazing summer, cold coffee, baby's gun. Wrap me in your arms. I can't feel it burn. Rock me in your arms. I can't feel it burn. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Feel to notation and style. See the next one with it. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Get up. Send them the same with the pit feet change. Get up, get down. And you move it all around now. Get up, get up. See the next one with it. Get up, get down. Get up, get down. Get up. Send them the same with the pit feet change. My baby does it hanky panky. My baby does. What's he do? What's he do now? Yeah. My baby does it hanky panky. My baby does. My baby does it hanky panky. My baby does.
tuned for more from our special guests, Gaby Moreno, Sylvan Esso, Nickel Creek, Claire Coffee, and Watkins Family Hour. You're listening to Live From Here.
Live From Here is supported by A to Z Wineworks, a B corporation dedicated to combining commerce with conscience and committed to offering remarkably food-friendly Pinot Noir, Pinot Gris, and Chardonnay. A to Z Wineworks, the essence of Oregon. And by Noom, providing an online evaluation and the tools to help people lead healthier lives through behavior change. More information at Noom, Noom.com. And by Peghead Nation, you can learn to play mandolin, guitar, fiddle, and other acoustic instruments with video courses at pegheadnation.com. No matter your musical skill level, Peghead Nation has lessons for you. Instructor and sign-up information at pegheadnation.com/live. Since a lot of us are at home right now, we decided to bring the variety show to you. Check it out, show us what you got. Start by searching hashtag #LiveFromHome. And there's a lot more I'd like to share over at livefromhere.org. Hours of performances, including entire episodes, video clips of your favorite artists, and curated YouTube playlists. Sign up for our newsletter, maybe treat yourself to some merch. All that and more at livefromhere.org. Live From Here is produced by American Public Media.
You're listening to a very special episode of Live From Here, recorded entirely at home. We hope you enjoy the show.
Well, it's going to be a hell of a week for musicians' birthdays, and for the second straight remote show, we're going to kick them off with a legend of musical theater, Meredith Willson, best known, of course, for writing the music, lyrics, and book of The Music Man, less known for writing a song for, about, and in the tiny Southern California mountain town I grew up in, called In Idlewild. And though I've still never heard that song, it just so happens that In Idlewild is where I first unwittingly heard Meredith's brilliance, seeing as my father's go-to exclamation in times of turmoil was, "Oh, we got trouble right here in River City." Now for that very number, the Live From Heroes will be joined by the Quarantine Radio Players, who are myself, Claire Coffee for one word, and Calvin Thile. So what's the lowdown here, Mars?
You'll never get anywhere in the band business with these stubborn iron winds, Greg. Besides, we got a stuck-up music teacher here who will expose you before you get your grip unpacked.
Male or female?
The music teacher? She's the librarian. Female.
Perfect. That's what I wanted to hear. If she passes by, point her out to me.
I will. How you're gonna start the pitch?
Well, same old way. Keep that music teacher off balance. Then my next step will be to get your town out of the serious trouble it's in.
River City isn't in any kind of trouble.
Well, then I'll have to create some. I have to create a desperate need for a boys' band, you remember. Now, what's new around here? What can I use?
Nothing except the billiard parlor just put in a new pool table.
They never had a pool table here before?
Nope. Only billiards.
That'll do. See you later, Mars. And don't forget, music teacher.
Music teacher.
Indeed. Oh, you're Mrs. Dunlop?
Yes?
Ma'am, either you're closing your eyes to a situation you don't wish to acknowledge, or you are not aware of the caliber of disaster indicated by the presence of a pool table in your community. Well, you got trouble, my friend. Right here, I say trouble right here in River City. Why, sure, I'm a billiard player. Certainly mighty proud to say I'm always mighty proud to say it. I consider that the hours I spend with a cue in my hand are golden. Help you cultivate horse sense and a cool head and a keen eye. Did you ever take and try to find an ironclad lead for yourself from a 3-rail billiard shot? But just as I say it takes judgment, brains, and maturity to score in a bulk line game, I say that any boob can take and shove a ball in a pocket. And I call that sloth. The first big step on the road to the depths of degradation. I say first, medicinal wine from a teaspoon, then beer from a bottle. And the next thing you know, your son is playing for money in a pinchback suit and listening to some big out-of-town Jasper, hearing him tell about horse race gambling. Not a wholesome trotting race, no, but a race where they sit down right on the horse. Like to see some stuck-up jockey boy sitting on Dan Patch, make your blood boil, well, I should say. Friends, let me tell you what I mean. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pockets in a table. Pockets that mark the difference between a gentleman and a bum with a capital B, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. And all week long, your River City youth will be frittering away. I say your young men will be frittering away their noontime, supper time, chore time too. Get the ball in the pocket, never mind getting dandelions pulled or the screen door patched or the beefsteak pounded. Never mind pumping any water till your parents are caught with the cistern empty on a Saturday night, and that's trouble. Yes, we got lots and lots of trouble. I'm thinking of the kids in the knickerbocker, shirt-tail young ones peeking in the pool hall window after school. You got trouble, folks, right here in River City. Trouble with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool. Now I know all you folks are the right kind of parents. I'm gonna be perfectly frank. Would you like to know what kind of conversation goes on while they're loafing around that hall? They're trying out Bevo, trying out Q-Baps, trying out tailor-mades like cigarette fiends, and bragging all about how they're gonna cover up the telltale breath with sense. And one fine night, they leave the pool hall, heading for the dance at the Armory. Libertine men and scarlet women and ragtime. Shameless music that'll grab your son and your daughter with the arms of a jungle. Animal instinct, mass hysteria. Friends, the idle brain is the devil's playground. Trouble.
Oh, we got trouble.
Right here in River City.
Right here in River City.
With a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
That stands for pool.
We've surely got trouble.
We surely got trouble.
Right here in River City.
Right here.
Gotta figure out a way to keep the young ones moral after school.
Our children's children gonna have trouble.
Mothers of River City, heed this warning before it's too late. Watch for the telltale sign of corruption. The minute your son leaves the house, does he rebuckle his knickerbockers below the knee? Is there a nicotine stain on his index finger? A dime novel hidden in the corn crib? Is he starting to memorize jokes from Captain Billy's whiz-bang? Are certain words creeping into his conversation? Words like swell.
Trouble.
Ah, and so's your old man.
Trouble.
Well, if so, my friends, you got trouble.
Oh, we got trouble.
Right here in River City.
Right here in River City.
With a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for pool.
That stands for pool.
We've surely got trouble.
We surely got trouble.
Right here in River City.
Right here.
Remember the Maine, Plymouth Rock, and the Golden Rule.
Our children's children gonna have trouble.
Oh, we got trouble. We're in terrible, terrible trouble. That game with the 15 numbered balls is a devil's tool. Oh, yes, we got trouble, trouble, trouble.
Oh, yes, we got trouble. Here we got trouble.
With the capital T.
With the capital T.
And that rhymes with P.
Rhymes with P.
And that stands for pool.
That stands for pool.
Oh, it's so true, Meredith. True with a capital T, and that rhymes with P, and that stands for toilet paper. Next up, Ann Peebles. Ann Peebles, whose music I was only introduced to this week by Gaby Moreno. Gaby, tell us a little bit about Ann. Who introduced you to her stuff?
Well, I was listening to a lot of soul music in my teenage years, like Al Green and Otis Redding. But little did I know that I hadn't gone deep into that Memphis soul catalog, because it wasn't until I moved to LA that someone played for me the song I Can't Stand the Rain. And I was just hooked right then and there.
I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories a window pane. Do you remember how sweet it used to be? When we was together, everything was so grand. Now that we parted, it's just one thing that I just can't stand. I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories. I can't stand the rain against my window, 'cause he is not here with me. Whoa, with the pillow where his head used to lay. I know you got some sweet memories, but like the window, you ain't got nothing to say. I can't stand the rain against my window, bringing back sweet memories. I can't stand the rain against my window, just keeps on haunting me. Hey, rain, get out my window. I can't stand the rain.
Yes, Gaby Moreno there wishing Ann Peebles a happy birthday. And we'll polish off this birthday segment with a particularly satisfying birthday double. Bassist / Renaissance man Klaus Voormann and drummer extraordinaire Jim Keltner. Born the same week, 4 years apart, they played on a whole lot of truly epic sessions together for records by John Lennon, George Harrison, and Harry Nilsson. But their accomplishments extend far beyond that. For instance, not everyone can say they've designed record covers for both the Beatles and, wait for it, Gaby Moreno. Say what?
Yes. So, my dear friend and collaborator, Van Dyke Parks, introduced me to Klaus. Van Dyke and I released an album late last year called Spangled, and we asked Klaus if he could do the cover for it. We were thrilled when he said yes. And he did a beautiful color illustration of me and Van Dyke, and I think it represents so well the music that we recorded. He's a genius and is showing no signs of stopping when it comes to creating art. So, zum Geburtstag viel Glück, liebe Klaus.
Thank you, Gaby. As for Jim Keltner, if you've ever listened to music, you know his drumming. In addition to the aforementioned luminaries, he's lended his lyrical approach to the trap kit to everyone from Joni Mitchell to Randy Newman to Fiona Apple to Brad Mehldau. I could go on and on. I've gotten to play with Jim 3 short times in my life, and my approach to rhythm will never be the same. Pay a little extra attention to Ted Poor on drums and Mike Elizondo on bass during this song that Jim and Klaus cut with John Lennon and Elton John on Lennon's Walls and Bridges record. Here's Whatever Gets You Through the Night. Amen.
Whatever gets you through the night, it's alright, it's alright. It's your money or your life, it's alright, it's alright. Don't need a sword to cut through flowers, oh no, oh no. Whatever gets you through your life, it's alright, it's alright. Do it wrong or do it right, it's alright, it's alright.
Happy birthday, Jim Keltner and Klaus Vorman. Thanks again to Gaby Moreno and our intrepid Live from Heroes, Chris Critter Eldridge on guitar, Brett Williams on keys, Brittany Haas on fiddle, Ted Poor on drums, and the secret wizard himself, Mike Elizondo on the bass. Sean and Sarah Watkins, where were we? We're going to dive into the Nickel Creek Vault, which is presided over by both of our sets of parents.
Mm-hmm.
Sarah, you found Dancing with the Angels from Kingman, Arizona. I'm just curious what both of you remember about us at that time, specifically working up Dancing with the Angels.
I feel like we would alternate weekends going to each other's houses.
Yeah, to work on existing material or work up new material.
Yeah.
I feel like Dancing with the Angels is representative of us trying our very best to sound like adults on adult material. Just the earnestness of the delivery is something I think if it weren't us, it's just it would be moving to me, and because it is us, I'm somehow still at 39 deeply embarrassed by my earnestness.
We took ourselves so seriously. Like, even it started way back then, you know, like I sing that song as closely to Chris Hillman as I could manage, even like with all the variations that he did. No need to.
I love that high part where you head up to the high D and kind of slide bluesily down from there. I love that moment.
Is
that a Chris Hillman moment?
Us across the
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
3 octaves up.
Yeah.
I remember the like singing this, like especially the a cappella chorus at the end.
At the very end.
And really,
all of a sudden,
like,
the pulse drops off a cliff, and there we are.
Trying to rein in our voices so they did something organized.
And just the lack of awareness, at least on my part, how much like Chipmunks we sounded.
Yes.
Like embarrassing. And I think that
just blackmail, it would be blackmail material, except it's so readily available.
Yeah. No, there's no value to it. It's just free embarrassment.
We should start a podcast.
No, that is not Chris Hillman and the Desert Rose Band on Helium. That's Nickel Creek almost 30 years ago, playing a song written by Peter Rowan called Dancing with the Angels. And here's another Nickel Creek song from way back, which Sarah, Sean, and I recorded together, but separately for this episode. It's a song that my mother used to sing to me when I was going to sleep. I can't recall it ever having made me any sleepier. Here's the fox. Oh, the fox went out on a chilly night, and he prayed for the moon to give him light, for many a mile to go that night before we reached a town. No, town, no, town, no, and many a mile to go that night before we reached a town. No. Till he came to the farmer's pen, the ducks and the geese were kept therein. He said, "Come all of you, gonna grease my chin before I leave this town." No, town, no, town, no. A couple of you are gonna grease my chin before I leave this town. No. Goose by the neck, and he threw a dog across his back, and he didn't mind the quack, 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 and the legs all dingling down, no, down, no, down, no. He didn't mind the quack, quack, and the legs all dingling down, no. And the old gray woman jumped out of bed. She ran through the window and she popped out her head. She cried, "John, John, the great goose is gone, and the fox is on the town, no, town, no, town, no. John, John, the great goose is gone, and the fox is on the town, no." Eight, 9, 10, singing, "Daddy, Daddy, better go back again, for it must be a mighty fine town." No, town, no, town, no. Daddy, Daddy, go back again, for it must be a mighty fine town. No. The fox and his wife, without any strife, they caught that goose with a fork and a knife, and they never had to suffer in the life, and the little ones chewed on the bones, 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 bones. They never had such a supper in the life, and the little ones chewed on the bones. That was The Fox by Nickel Creek. Now, won't you please welcome back to the program the very funny comedian and writer Josh Gondelman.
So, I don't have any kids, but I do think I would be a pretty good dad because my dad is amazing at dad stuff. Like, he's retired now, and the last time I went to visit him, he was wearing suspenders with sweatpants, which is too retired. That's just an incredible dad move. And I didn't say anything about it to his face, because I'm a good son. But I did text my sister immediately because I'm a great brother. I was like, "Jen, Dad started dressing like a gym teacher at a funeral." And she got it. She knew what was up. But I felt bad. I felt bad as soon as I sent the text because I realized when you're retired, suspenders and sweatpants, that's the ideal outfit for you to wear. Because that tells everyone you meet anything they need to know about your life, right? The suspenders say to the world, "I'd like to speak to your manager." And the sweatpants say, "And I have all day." I don't have any kids, but day one after getting married, people started asking, "When are you going to have children?" Not if, when. Like they bought tickets and we're starting behind schedule. And every time I get that question, I always give the same answer. I say, ever since I was young, I thought maybe I would adopt. My wife feels the same way, so there's no real rush. which is kind of a weird answer because when you're a young person considering adoption, that just means at some point you'd like to have a friend. But still, whenever I mention adoption, I always get the same follow-up question. But Josh, don't you want a baby that looks like you? Excuse me? First of all, I'm bald, out of shape, and have a weak chin. Any baby's gonna look like me. That's just biology. I could adopt a 3-month-old Korean girl. People would be like, oh, she has her father's hairline and posture. That's adorable. The resemblance is uncanny. I also think I'd be a good parent eventually because I used to teach preschool. I learned a lot from that job. I learned about patience. I learned about meeting people on their own level, not assuming what anybody wants or needs from you. Some teachers, though, oversell the benefits of the occupation to others and themselves. Some teachers say things like, I learn as much from those kids as they learn from me. And if a teacher tells you that, they're a liar, or they're a straight up horrendous teacher. Because the entire job description of being an educator is the children learn more from you than you learn from them. I was teaching 4-year-olds. They didn't even know their parents' first names. So imagine what a sweet, dumb goon I would have to be to learn more from those children than they were learning from me day in and day out. Just coming home to my wife like, hey babe, I was at work today talking to the kids. And did you know all the crayons look different, but they taste the same? That's messed up, right? They should do something about that. And just learn as much from those kids as they learn from me, I'll tell you what. People ask what you teach 4-year-olds all day. It's a lot of social lessons. One of the big things I tried to instill in them was to love all sorts of people. Don't be prejudiced, don't be bigoted. And I think they took to it, because one day we were eating lunch, which is a thing I let them do every day. This wasn't a special occasion. And there's a little boy named Matthew who's very popular because he had a lot of stickers and he very rarely pooped his pants. And when you're 4, that's pretty much all it takes. So all the girls were giving Matthew such a hard time at lunch. They were like, Matthew, marry me. Marry me, Matthew, marry me. Don't marry her. Marry me, Matthew, me. He turned bright red. He was a little flustered. Nobody had ever proposed to him before. So the girls jacked up the intensity. Like, Matthew, time for you to choose who you're going to marry. Because if you don't choose right now, time's going to run out and you'll be left without anyone to marry at all. And it's like, whoa, what a wild thing for those girls to say, never having eaten Thanksgiving dinner with my grandparents. So finally, Matthew speaks up. He's like, I'm sorry, girls. I don't know why his voice is deeper than my voice when I tell this story, but it always is. He goes, I'm sorry, girls, but I'm going to marry Jeremy. We all turn to look at Jeremy, who's just nodding his head deeply like, already asked his dad, bro. It's cool. And the girls are furious. They're like, Matthew, you can't marry Jeremy because Jeremy's a boy and you're a boy and a boy can't marry another boy. That's against the rules. Isn't that against the rules, Josh? Can a boy not marry another boy? And I found myself in that moment, the arbiter of civil liberties for this pre-K class. I was like a one-man pre-K ACLU. So I said to the class very sincerely, well, girls, in the United States of America, if a boy grows up and wants to marry another boy, that's totally cool. No problem at all. And there's silence in the room. Tension. Hanging in the air. Tension that is only broken when Matthew and Jeremy high five. And why wouldn't they? When you're 4, marriage equality is all you want in the world, right? It's basically just a sleepover every night with your best friend where you can play trucks until dawn any night you want. So all the girls are looking at me, and I think the matter is settled. Until one little girl pipes up like a real jerk. She goes, if you can marry a boy, why don't you just marry a dog? So I think I have to give another speech about why to love and cherish all types of people. Why no kind of love is better or worse than any other kind of love. But before I can, Matthew goes, marry a dog? That sounds even better! I was like, wow, these kids are perhaps too open-minded.
That was Josh Gondelman. Thank you, Josh. Time now for our instrumental break, a brand new song written by our very own Ted Poor on the drums. This is New Bike, Empty Lot. live from here. Ted Poor, ladies and gentlemen, he wrote that song, he played those drums. How about another brand new song, this one from the pen and voice of Gaby Moreno, Lost on a Cloud.
Stopped working so hard, dropped all their things and stared at the sky. All the busy nothings that could fill a couple days and ask for by and have forgotten to be scared of the dark. 'Cause every little minute's filled with things to do, and me and you have found that there's no time to see the clouds up so high. Is it so hard to remember how it all used to be? They say youth is lost on the young who never knew they were free. It's okay to while the hours away. While we're here forever, I just wanna hear you laughing out loud. 'Cause every little minute's filled with things to do, and me and you have found that there's no time to see the clouds oh so high. Is it so hard to remember what we had, you and me? They say youth is lost on the young who never knew they were free.
That was Lost on a Cloud. Thank you, Gaby. Now, settle in for a reading of Dylan Thomas from Claire Coffee. This is an excerpt from Reminiscences of Childhood.
I like very much people telling me about their childhood, but they'll have to be quick, or else I'll be telling them about mine. I was born in a large Welsh town at the beginning of the Great War. An ugly, lovely town, or so it was and is to me. Crawling, sprawling by a long and splendid curving shore, where truant boys and sandfield boys and old men from nowhere beachcombed, idled and paddled, watched the dock-bound ships or the ships steaming away into wonder and India, magic and China, countries bright with oranges and loud with lions. Threw stones into the sea for the barking outcast dogs, made castles and forts and harbors and racetracks in the sand, and on Saturday summer afternoons listened to the brass band, watched the Punch and Judy, or hung about on the fringes of the crowd to hear the fierce religious speakers who shouted at the sea as though it were wicked and wrong to roll in and out like that, white-horsed and full of fishes. One man, I remember, used to take off his hat and set fire to his hair every now and then, but I do not remember what it proved, if it proved anything at all, except that he was a very interesting man. This sea town was my world. Outside of strange Wales, coal-pitted, mountained, river-run, full, so far as I knew, of choirs and football teams and sheep and storybook-tall hats and red flannel petticoats, moved about its business which was none of mine. Beyond that unknown Wales with its wild names like peals and bells in the darkness, and its mountain men clothed in the skins of animals, perhaps, and always singing, lay England, which was London and the country called the Front, from which many of our neighbors never came back. It was a country to which only young men traveled. At the beginning, the only front I knew was the little lobby before our front door. I could not understand how so many people never returned from there, but later I grew to know more, though still without understanding, and carried a wooden rifle in the park and shot down the invisible unknown enemy like a flock of wild birds. And the park itself was a world within the world of the sea town, quite near where I lived, so near that on summer evenings I could listen in my bed to the voices of older children playing ball on the sloping, paper-littered bank. The park was full of terrors and treasures. Though it was only a little park, it held within its borders of old tall trees, notched with our names and shabby from our climbing, as many secret places, caverns and forests, prairies and deserts, as a country somewhere at the end of the sea. And though we would explore it one day, armed and desperate from end to end, from the robber's den to the pirate's cabin, the highwayman's inn to the cattle ranch, or the hidden room in the undergrowth, where we held beetle races and lit the wood fires and roasted potatoes and talked about Africa and the makes of motor cars, yet still, the next day, it remained as unexplored as the poles, a country just born and always changing.
Claire Coffey reading the work of Dylan Thomas. Now let's check in again with Sylvan Esso. I actually called up Sylvan Esso's Amelia Meath and Nick Sanborn. We'll get into some of that conversation in a bit, but first, from their new live album With, this is Sylvan Esso with Dress.
We come to grips with the risk. We come to sound with the mask. We sing a word we think we know. Mother, father, skin and flaws. And we move just like the birds, flying amidst the other birds. And we move just like the fish, running away from logic. And I know I'm projecting the light that I'm lacking, but all you look like the morning star. Just see who we are. And I know you're projecting the light that you're lacking, but all you look like a morning star. Just see who we are. Look good in the west, see how you clap those hands. Look good in the south, see how you use your mouth. Look good in the east, all elbows and knees. To the honey dipper, to the silent shifter. calling to you. Right out loud, she said it. Right out loud, they meant it. Sing that song like I know you can. Work your jaw like a blind man. Call like you on the left. Throw up your hands and make demands. Look good in the west. See how you clap those hands. Look good in the south. See how you use your mouth. Look good in the east. Oh, it goes in the east. To the honey dipper. To the sun shifter. Look good in the north. With your hair back and forth. Look good in the east. Don't know the wild. Move your feet. Look good in the south. You'll make us proud. Look good in the west. Look good in the dress. How you do? How you do? I feel like a morning star. I feel.
Hi. How are y'all doing?
Man, it's like, you know, every
Isn't
day.
it amazing how urgent that question has become?
Yeah, and also I find it so fascinating how like there's like a new permission to actually respond honestly and actually think about it.
Right.
Which is like totally new, oddly.
That's new in my experience of the world. Well, I want to get into this this extraordinary live performance video, and what a time for it, y'all. This is I was tearing up watching it last night. But certainly for anyone who's familiar with your music, the first instantly apparent thing is that there are more of you on stage than there have been before. Why add other people to the collaboration?
I guess we had done at the like very beginning of the cycle for our second record, What Now? Mm-hmm. The first thing we did with the songs, instead of play them live to people in our 2-person configuration, we made a video or like a series of videos of our friends playing it, like 5 people. We went up to Echo Mountain, the studio in Asheville, and recorded with them. And it was such a wonderful way to rediscover our songs. Our manager, Martin, and our booking agent, Jackie, were constantly being like, you guys should do that again.
But it's also like logistically impossible, you know? Like it was one of those things that was like getting that many people together who are all busy together for a run of things in a way where we wouldn't lose a ton of money, only lose a little bit of money. Yes.
Yeah.
Was like kind of impossible. So we kept putting it off. And then last year, you know, we were just writing and we played a handful of shows, but it was mostly just being in the studio. And our booking agent and manager were kind of like, you know, we could probably make this happen. We've got enough lead time. We could probably do this if you wanted to do it. And we were like, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. And how did it, as far as being in that configuration in front of a lot of people, like how did that affect the live performance environment for you?
It was like a new, different version of being a front person of a band. So fun to have so many people to interact with. My favorite thing to think about is like how to, instead of having a performance only center around the performers, creating I want to say Ouroborosific.
Kind of a feedback loop.
A feedback loop.
Yes.
And so instead of like all of the energy going in one direction, having it curl back over like the undertow of a wave.
Yes. Oh, that is so beautifully put.
And so in that way, like using specific energy to try to keep the balloon up with specific people in the audience is something that I found really, really works.
Is Mr. Rogers happening, or what are you guys gonna do?
Yes, Mr. Rogers is happening. We're doing There Are Many Ways to Say I Love You.
You were both raised on Mr. Rogers, I'm assuming?
Oh, indeed.
Big time. Huge PBS household for me.
Yeah, me too.
Totally.
The only thing I really liked when I was actually small was the factory visits, and of course puppets. But as I've gotten older, the like deep wisdom of Mr. Rogers' songwriting.
Songwriting is insane.
Has like just crept into, particularly as someone who just is constantly thinking about economy of words, simplicity in melody. In almost every song that he's written, he is talking about very subtle shifts in your thinking as a way of taking care of yourself and the people you're surrounded by in your community.
Yeah, I also think just his steadfast belief in carrying the light of humanity against all odds is, I think about that about him like all of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like he just really believed that people were good
and deserved kindness.
And deserved kindness. And it's like becoming a revolutionary idea the further we get away from him.
Mm-hmm. There are many ways to say I love you. There are many ways to say I care about you. Many ways, many ways, many ways to say I love you. There are many ways to say I love you. Just by being there when things are sad and scary. Just by being there, being there, being there to say I love you. Cleaning up a room can say I love you. Hanging up a coat before you're asked to do it. Drawing special pictures for the holidays and making plays. You'll find many ways to say I love you. You'll find many ways as you learn what love is. Many ways, many ways, many ways to say I love you.
I don't know about you, but I needed that. Sylvan Esso playing a song written by the great Mr. Fred Rogers. We've got one more song for you. I want to thank you so much for letting into your homes what we built in ours. And because we had actual Julie Andrews on this show, here's a song from Mary Poppins that I'd forgotten all about until I heard Claire singing it to Cal in his sleepless infancy. Here's Stay Awake.
Upon your don't know the dream.
That's our show from our homes across America.
Live from Here is produced by American Public Media. Thank you to our special guests, Gaby Moreno, Sylvan Esso, Nickel Creek, Oliver Jeffers, Jonathan Biss, Claire Coffey, Louis Phipps, Josh Gondelman, Matt Chamberlain and Mike Viola, Emma Walton Hamilton and Julie Andrews, and Watkins Family Hour. The Fate of Fausto by Oliver Jeffers is published by HarperCollins. The poem Joe Heller by Kurt Vonnegut was published by Penguin Random House. Reminiscences of Childhood by Dylan Thomas is published by New Directions. Thanks to our Live from Heroes and our musical director, Mike Elizondo. Thanks to the staff of Live from Here, Rochelle Rocky Ben Lulu Dubin, Tom Campbell, Jonathan Cohen, Riggs and Collins, Jason Colton, Paul Dalen, Lynn Elliott, Carly Henry, Jeffy Millica, Sam Hudson, Martha Cato, Emily McCune, Dominic Mecki, Ben Miller, Emerald O'Brien, Amber Robinson, Frankie Rousseau, Corey Schreppel, Dave Cinco, Noah Smith, Sarah Weiss, and I'm Bodine Bowling. Check out video clips from tonight's show and learn about what's coming up at livefromhere.org.
Hang in there, friends. Thank you so much for listening. We can't wait for the next one. Love y'all. Stay safe.
American Public Media.